is Gina Chimesi again. Welcome to my channel where I talk about everything and anything pertaining to mental health. My videos are usually based on mental health, just like I mentioned, and self-improvement as well. So if this is your first time tuning in, thank you so much and welcome. If you're a returning listener, once again, thank you for being supportive and tuning in. Today we're going to focus on a very interesting topic, dealing with authority issues. And quote unquote, I title it, Who is the Boss? Right? So these days we deal a lot, everywhere you find with issues with when it pertains to authority. How do we have that to be rampant so much these days? And that type of ideal or issue does affect mental health a lot. For example, work. People will have so much anxiety going to work if they have a boss who is domineering and have authority issues, or have a personality where it's their way or no other way. So you have a lot of employees under stress, especially one study showed that at least 60+% of American population, not to mention worldwide, suffer from a lot of anxiety Sunday evening, Sunday night into Monday. A lot of times because of the type of office environment that they have. So for example, also, and this was also, when I was doing my research on this topic, I was actually trying to, do a video on narcissistic relationship or difficult relationship and how to deal with it. And the topic came to me also as dealing with authority, because narcissistic personalities, when you're dealing with such a person with that type of personality, whether it's your mother, your sister, your partner, your boss, even it shows up at church as well. There's a lot of people with narcissistic tendencies who are in churches, who are leaders. Okay, so for example, you go to grocery shopping, and then this example was used, and then you're in line, you're like second or third, it's a very busy evening, you have your kids with you, been screaming, they want this and that through the grocery, you finish everything, you're in line, then boom, all of a sudden the grocery clerk decides to shut down and said, oh, so sorry, but I'm done, I'm going on my break. And in that moment, what do? You're gonna be like flip out, call the supervisor. What do you do in that moment? Have a fit? A lot of this stuff comes with practice, though, where some people might go to the primitive reaction of flipping out, having this and that, or you just take a lot of deep breaths and move to the next aisle, which comes with a lot of practice. Many of us, including myself, we're working on that decreasing reactivity when it comes to tough situations like that, because that clerk at the grocery store could have been patient and said, oh, noticing that this mother had a child or two children with her and has gone through the hassle of doing her groceries already in line, at least finish the people in line before saying, oh, I'm done, without a care in the world, no empathy, right? So those type of behaviors or those type of personalities just lack empathy or have no emotional intelligence, as we would call it. So why is it so rampant these days? So when I was researching it again, that in a Christian domain, it was described as, okay, this is Satan. Satan, when he described it from the Bible, was trying to compete with God, so came down, or God booted him out, so he came down, he's on earth, he's trying to take as many as he can to follow him, So there's always that spirit of rebellion so rampant. Now I will have to emphasize on that this type of personality can also, in our world of therapy and wellness, in our space of dealing and researching on this type of personality, it also stems from trauma, that person's history, what they've been exposed to, self-confidence issues, insecurities, where some people, if they have been abused or traumatized for so long, when they get to a space where they feel like they can have authority, guess what? They take it to the next level where it's always their way or no other way. Just like in the example I had given about the grocery clerk, who could have in that moment just taken a moment and say, hey, it's okay, I'll check you out, it's my break anyway, and it would have been nice, and that lady could have been so grateful and thankful, but of course it didn't go that way. So this is common in churches, everywhere we go, home, work. So how do you deal with, let's say you have a boss or you have a family member who is shows a lot of rebellious tendencies? Now I must say that from researching it as well, finding out that at least 70 to 80%, if not more, of male tend to have this type of behavior. And this is why, especially in the studies, over 50% of the males were African American or were minority. And from the study, it showed that this is why many of our brothers get incarcerated, because even different things, occurrences, and I don't know, sound too controversial or anything like that, but even from things that lead up to arrest, if you're possessing weapons or if you have substances or whatever, it's how you interact with law enforcement. Sometimes that can also be, it's a factor, but there's different facets or layers to what plays out. But it found that a lot of people, minority are males, African Americans are incarcerated, stemming from the fact that many of them started, especially in their teens, very rebellious, right? And then, when some of these younger adults are in schools, like high school, even sometimes middle school, start showing this rebellious behaviors, instead of them getting the help they need, whether it's from the lack of support from family or the school system just being so overwhelmed that the help doesn't get given at the tender age and they get to be adults, and then the rebellious behavior becomes worse, where then they join maybe a gang or a group that kind of feeds into that type of, because all the people in that group might have the same personality type, or they roll based on the fact that they quote unquote are rebellious. They don't listen to authority, and that's what they pride themselves in doing. So if you're in this type of relationship, like I'm saying, work, home, marriage, partners, fiance, boyfriend, mother, daughter, sister, aunt, what do you do if you have or a son, an uncle, a grandfather, whatever? I'm saying grandfather, maybe that might be so far off, but okay, examples like such as that. What do? Either you stay well, or you leave and leave well. So if you're leaving, finding support and going through the right ways to leave, because sometimes it can become super conflict centered, because that other person is just not willing to have a mutual agreement. They just lack that capacity to have the mutual agreements to get things rolling the way it's supposed to be, because they just thrive in a way where it's always their way, which is the right way. So leaving, if you don't leave well, can be traumatic through the experience, and you can leave and live with a lot of scars where that's going to affect your future relationships. So really doing the work to heal from that experience in dealing with somebody who is narcissistic or rebellious all the time, or want to have their way or no other way. So if you're staying to, the other way is to stay well, right? Live well or stay well. So how do you stay well? Do the work. You really need to do some grounding work, do some trauma work, because that's trauma right there. Do your psychotherapy. If you need meds to manage your anxiety, it's okay. Secondly, exercise, workout, hiking, walking, the whole shebang, eating well, meditation, yoga, whatever it takes, reading, music, distraction, finding a good happy hobby, finding good support systems that can hold you up, that you can fall into, because otherwise that person is going to be so toxic. So we all have had times, if you're still listening to this video at this point, most likely you know someone or have known somebody who's rebellious, right? Who have had repercussions or have not had any repercussions yet. Or you know someone, or you yourself have experienced it, or you know someone somebody who is dealing with someone with a rebellious attitude or a difficult personality, or as we call it in the DSM-5, a narcissistic personality type. And I will be doing more videos centering on narcissism and how common and rampant it is in families, in churches, in work situations. Oh, work situation is even worse, especially in in a regular 9-to-5, I'm throwing a blank to the word that I'm looking for, type of work environment, or male-dominated work environment. A lot of times is very rampant because there's a lot of ego at play. Church leadership has a lot of ego at play as well, and that leads to a lot of narcissistic tendencies showing up. So I do a video highlighting how do you know that you are indeed in a difficult relationship, or how do you see what that person is doing that classifies them as a narcissist. So leave me a comment, questions, and we'll carry forward this discussion on dealing with people who are rebellious or people who have difficult personality type. And let me know if you know anyone, and let me know what have been done or what has been your experiences in the past, so healing can go forward. Because sometimes we can avoid a lot of these people. They are in our lives. Like I said, it's so rampant, it's everywhere. So how do we deal better so you're not always in distress all the time because you are being triggered or being affected emotionally by somebody who has such personality? And there are so many personality types as well. So catch you in the next video. You have a wonderful one, and stay blessed. And like I said, if you whip it in your head, you can whip it everywhere in your life. Ciao.